This video features the best brawlers you need to be playing in November 2024 with the new season and the new brawler. Let's see how much the meta has shifted so far. Alright guys, the first brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Stu. Now Stu is a great hard carry brawler if you have low ping. Stu has the easiest super to charge in the entire game, and that makes him perfect for frustrating the enemy team. By using your super to double, triple, or even quadruple dash, you can distract the enemy team and dodge incoming projectiles to survive. Now not only is Stu's super going to be very good, but his kit overall is just really solid. No matter if you use either Stu's speed zone gadget to help your teammates move faster or run breakthrough to destroy the map to your liking, you can't go wrong with either one. Same thing with Stu's star powers. Zero drag is a great star power to make it easier to dodge incoming projectiles and travel further across the map. However, a lot of really good Stu players run Gasol Heal because it overall helps Stu's ability to go aggro and stay alive longer. But the main reason why Stu is so good right now is because of his brand new hypercharge Infinite Nitro. Stu's super can be used continuously while hypercharged. Stu also receives a 26% speed boost, a 25% damage boost, as well as a 5% shield boost. This hypercharge will make it easier to score goals in Brawl Ball, since you can self-pass to yourself even easier. You can even use the hypercharge to just travel across the map faster or heal back to full depending on which star power you are running. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Gus. Now Gus has climbed in the meta recently because of his super getting buffed. Back in April, Gus's super can now knock back nearby enemies when it's activated, and this helps Gus in this very aggressive meta. He can use this on himself when being pressured by tanks and assassins, or even to save his teammates to push aggros off of them. Now another reason why Gus has just seen a rise recently is because of all the other buffs that he received back in August. One of the buffs was that Gus's main attack damage was increased from 1000 to 1120. This has gone unnoticed for most people and kept Gus under the radar while he became stronger as the year went on. The thing that was more important though was his buff to Cookie Popper. The damage from Cookie Popper has increased where it can deal 20-40 damage at max level. Now it makes it even easier to finish off the enemies with his gadget and will only make Gus stronger. Now even though Gus didn't receive a hypercharge within the recent update, he's still going to be a great support brawler. Gus has good range, so he can put up a fight against the mid to long range brawlers that are at the top of the meta. He can use his super to keep himself or his teammates alive, and you can still pick up the ghost to heal up, which makes him extremely versatile. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Penny. Now Penny was already a pretty good brawler because of the buff to her main attack range. Penny's attack range was increased from 8 tiles to 8.67 tiles, which helps a bit more against the mid to longer range brawlers. Granted, it's not like it's super good and the projectiles aren't really the fastest, but Penny is the strongest she's ever been in a very long time. Now I know all of you guys can relate to this, but when Penny is on absolute fire, she can be so annoying to deal with. Penny is a brawler that forces the enemies to not group up and stay far apart if they don't want to get destroyed by the splash damage. This makes facing Penny already annoying to deal with when stacking on top of the mortar, shooting at the nearest target and leaving the ground on fire. Penny is definitely an underrated controller within the game, and it's about time she's given the recognition she deserves. But the main reason why Penny has shot up in the meta even more so now is because of her brand new hypercharge new lobber. Penny deploys a bigger cannon that shoots 2 cannonballs at a time instead of 1. This makes Penny even more frustrating to deal with, since having 2 cannonballs cover the map instead of 1 makes it even easier for Penny to deal damage, get kills, and gain control of the map. It's more important than ever before to take down that mortar as quickly as you can, because it is going to annoy the hell out of so much people. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Byron. Now I'm not going to lie to you, Byron has gone through quite the balance changes this week. On October 29th, Byron's super charge rate was decreased from 9 hits to 7 hits, but was then nerfed on October 31st to take 10 hits to fully charge Byron's super. Also, Byron's booster shots gadget was nerfed on October 29th to charge 20% less of his super per hit, but was then buffed on October 31st to now charge the full amount of super per hit. Now despite all the bizarre balance changes to Byron that were kind of counterproductive, he's still going to be a very good brawler to use in this meta. The only problem is that his super charge rate was nerfed by 1 hit, but his damage and healing is all the same. Byron's super is clutch to help him survive against aggro brawlers to lower them down, but also heal Byron back up, so that might be the hugest downside of the slight nerf. Now I know there's a lot of very good long-range sharpshooter brawlers to run in this meta, but Byron is definitely still up there in that list. To take advantage of Byron's range is to chip away at the enemies with his stacking tick damage while also dodging their incoming damage, while also dodging the incoming projectiles. Once they're low on health, you can use your super to finish them off. Byron's long range, high tick damage, and healing abilities truly shine in team events. This is mostly because he can consistently heal his teammates while they work towards the event objective, with the healing giving more ease. In addition, he's also effective at preventing enemies from healing and making it easier to cripple the enemy team. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Chester. Now Chester is great in this meta because of the rework he received. The fact that Chester's attack now cycles in 4 sequences and the 4th attack having 4 bells is a passive ability, it makes Chester a better brawler since you don't have to waste a star power for that. But of course, with the rework to Chester's Bellomania star power as well, it causes the first bell to deal even more damage, which makes Chester even better. Mostly because he can now deal more damage, which can change a lot of interactions where he might win some engagements. Now before going into close range combat with the enemies, make sure that you have your 3 bells attack queued up next. This will make it so that your 4 bells attack follows after, which should be enough damage to defeat all the brawlers in the game that are not tanks. And especially now with the single Bellomania star power, it is going to be the 3rd attack that follows, and even more so, you can easily destroy the enemy. Now since Chester's attacks spread out the more bells that are being fired out, you want to be as close as possible to the enemies when using your attacks. This is something that's critical when playing Chester because you need to hit as many bells as you can. However, he doesn't have a lot of health, so if he gets too close, he could possibly get bursted down before he can burst down the enemy. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Gale. Now Gale is such a great versatile brawler that is a safe pick anywhere. Gale has mainly everything a brawler would require. He's got decent health, decent damage, long range, a fast reload speed, a reasonable movement speed, and support abilities such as his super. When you have a brawler like Gale who is good all around, they will tend to always land in the S tier. What's great about Gale as well is, like I said, you can use his super as a defensive mechanism. Gale's super allows him to displace enemies into his favor depending on the situation. He can either push the enemies away from him and his team to save lives, or push the enemy team into a nearby wall. This will allow for allied close range brawlers to deal more damage to get the kill. But you can't lie, something that makes Gale extremely frustrating to deal with is when he's running freezing snow. Gale with his freezing snow star power can limit enemy strafing abilities and also force brawlers to group up to defeat Gale together by slowing them down, thus allowing splash damage teammates or allies with piercing mechanics to easily perform a team wipe. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be the twins Larry and Laurie. Now the twins have received so many nerfs, but they're still remaining to be one of the best brawlers in the game. Just having the ability to spawn in another brawler to attack and tank damage for you is insanely broken. Granted, it is harder to charge up your super and you deal less damage, but Laurie is still extremely frustrating to deal with. Now speaking of Laurie, like, he's the main reason why throwers are so frustrating to deal with on maps that are closed off. Like, you can throw Laurie into the face of weak enemies and use his shotgun to deal a lot of damage or potentially finish them off. Especially if you are facing brawlers that do terrible burst damage close up, those are the brawlers you want to be laning and having Laurie tracked down. Also, we can't forget about how irritating the twins are because they can just heal each other up with their gadget. Granted, yes, the fallback gadget did receive a nerf where they won't heal as much, but it's still frustrating when both Larry and Laurie can gain back 25% of their maximum health with the tap of a gadget. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Daryl. Now in case you've been living under a rock, Daryl can now hold 2 supers instead of 1. This allows Daryl to make insane plays like rolling double the distance to get where he needs to be, or just have the enemies in a crazy hit stun for longer to drive them mad. This makes Daryl more versatile and has easily shot him up from being one of the worst brawlers in the meta to now being one of the best brawlers in the game. So now that you can hold 2 supers in your back pocket, you need to be taking advantage of that. Daryl's super is great for quickly escaping enemies, dangerous situations, or getting closer to the enemies. It's also great that Daryl rolls extremely quickly and is shielded while rolling. Can't forget that Daryl does have a trait where his super charges automatically. This will make it even easier for Daryl to cycle up his supers. And just the cherry on top, within the recent update, Daryl did receive his brand new hypercharged barrel of bullets. Daryl shoots his shotgun around himself during a barrel roll. He also gains a 25% speed boost boost, a 5% damage boost, as well as a 25% shield boost. Now, even though the hypercharge itself isn't that impressive, being able to have the additional stat boost from the hypercharge will only make Daryl stronger and make his ability to annihilate the enemies even easier. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Surge. Now, Surge is a great brawler to play on maps with lots of walls. Surge can use his super to leap over walls and surprise enemies that could be trying to hide and heal up from him. This can be very effective, especially against brawlers like throwers who will have no shot surviving Surge from a close range. And of course, we can't forget that Surge is probably one of the best anti-tank brawlers in the game. Now, when Surge is at stage 3, he's pretty much unstoppable, right? But once he reaches stage 3, Surge's super shouldn't be used immediately after charging it. It would not upgrade him any further, so it's better to save it until he needs it. It can later be used when he needs to dodge attacks or to escape from a brawler that gets too close to him. But those of you guys wondering out there, why is Surge like one of the best brawlers in the game? It's all because of his brand new hypercharge level 5. When activated, Surge upgrades to a 4th stage, giving his shots even more range than stage 3 and causing them to split every time. This hypercharge goes nuts because it's basically Surge like how he was upon his official release. He can just shoot in the general area of where the enemies are and easily hit the enemies for huge damage, like it's no skill at all. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be the newest brawler in the game, Juju. Now, even though Juju is only available at the time I'm recording this video for early access, her kit is just completely broken, and part of that is because of her Elementalist gadget. With this gadget, Juju gains a buff for 3 seconds based on the current environment she is standing on. On the ground, she gains a shield that reduces all damage she takes by 50%. In bushes, she turns herself invisible, allowing herself to either retreat or ambush an enemy, and when over water, her movement speed is increased by 100 points. This makes Juju extremely versatile and allows her to gain whatever buff she wants as long as she is standing on the correct environment needed. Now, another part of Juju's kit that's completely broken is her star power numbing needles. With this star power, enemies hit by Juju's super attacks will be slowed down for 1 second. If Gris wasn't already broken enough, having this star power will make it harder for enemies like tanks and assassins to escape Gris and make him a great defensive tool to help Juju stay alive when being pressured hard. If you guys want more information about Juju, I will be releasing a Juju guide in the next couple days, so stay tuned, turn on notifications, and be sure to subscribe. Well, anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed that ranking video, I highly recommend you guys go check out this video right here.